Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants here with you, alongside Tommy Christ and TK, coming to you from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on this Friday in Baton Rouge. We are presented by LaBerge Casino and the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Hope everybody had a good one. Last night was day one of the draft. First round is in the books. It's amazing, Tommy, how the draft has been stretched out to, this 3-day extravaganza. What a tremendous scene it was in Kansas City. Crowds of who knows what the actual number is. I mean, people thinking over 100,000.
Yeah, no, it's it's made for TV, and it's all everything's queued up and planned as a script, and when they're going to do this, when they're going to do that, and it's younger people might like it, but I don't think the older people do. But it is the NFL draft, and every team thinks they get the right people. Hey, the New Orleans Saints with a little bit of a surprise pick. They got the 29th pick. That was because Sean Payton went to the Broncos, and they took a defensive lineman out of Clemson, 6'5", 298. But he's got a long list of injuries, including an ACL in the knee a couple of years ago, shoulder surgery. There was some highlights where he had, that black tape they put on people now. So the word is, if healthy, he's a guy that plays, this season and contributes. The question is, can he stay healthy? Already comparisons to Zion. Like, okay, got this pick. Now, he's not coming out as great as Zion came out, but can he stay healthy? That's the big thing.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't really on the best available board because people have such questions. Do they have Brian Breesy, who's listed at 6'6"? We know that he officially weighed in just a tick under that, 300 pounds. Out of Clemson. When he played, he was good. When he didn't play, he wasn't. That's always scary, right? But clearly they saw something on, when they met with him and they did the doctor physicals, and they felt like, I guess, they had a lot more information. Did the Mel Kipers of the world and the other teams. This is a risky move, and it's unlike the Saints, who usually take the best player available on the board more so than need. This is 100% a need pick.
It is, and we talked about it all week. Defensive line should be their focus, might be their focus, and it really was. So that was accurate. Also, Ronnie, it's official now that there was not one single mock draft was anywhere close to being correct. Although Sean Fazan, our good buddy down at Fox 8 in New Orleans, did pick Breezy as the guy the Saints would pick in his mock draft. So I'll tip my hat to Sean, great guy who does a great job covering the Saints and other sports. But, other than that, Will Levis, the Kentucky quarterback, of course, they had to keep putting the camera on him with the mom, the girlfriend, the sister, everything in the picture. Did not get picked in the first round. Really slipped. There was rumors that he was going to be the first pick by Carolina. And, of course, they went with Bryce Young. Yeah, right. That's the first time Alabama's ever had the first pick in the draft. Also, I think it's 20 years now, streak broken by LSU having a guy taken in the first round.
Yeah, Bryce Young went first overall, and then Will Anderson Jr. went third overall. Bryce Young going first overall, not really a surprise. He was the guy who was the number one quarterback in the country out of high school. He was expected to be, he's always been the number one guy. And he went to the Carolina Panthers. The thing that continues to surprise me, and congratulations to Anthony Richardson. I may be on the wrong side of history with Anthony Richardson, Tommy, but when you talk about draft on the word potential, on physical freak. I mean, look, Anthony Richardson is a freak when it comes to his athleticism. No one's had a higher vertical. No one's had a longer broad jump. The guy is Cam Newton, but faster as far as his speed goes. He's a 4.44. Cam Newton was a 4.6. I mean, like, all that. And look, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities, right? He hasn't played quarterback that long. He hasn't played, and I don't think he's had over 400 passes in college. So there's a huge upside to him. I get that. But man, when you take someone fourth overall, you're saying that this is your franchise quarterback for the next 5 years. You're saying that you expect him to start this year.
Yeah, well, and their general manager came out and said, "Don't expect wonderful things from the guy." Kind of meaning it's a project, or what you said, potential. Well, guess what, Ronnie? When you pick a guy fourth in the draft, he's got to help you win in week one of the NFL this coming season, or at least be out on the field. So, the potential that has ruined many a general manager. It has ruined many a franchise potential. It's can it become reality? And I guess a couple years down the road, we'll say, "Hey, what a great pick," or it'll be the Colts or the Colts.
Um, the Colts have been playing the revolving door of veteran quarterbacks for the last few years. They went Wentz. They had Phillip Rivers in his last year. They had Matt Ryan in his last year. I mean, they've been trying to just do a stopgap, and they took a shot on Wentz. That didn't work out. So I don't blame him from going this direction. Look, he's not going to be a guy this year. He may end up being a guy next year, but he's not going to be a guy this year. Take the under on Colts wins, whatever it is.
And he's going to be behind Gardner Minshew, who is not exactly a Pro Bowler, or a guy that's great. I mean, he's a serviceable quarterback, but it's not like he'd be underneath, a big time QB to learn the mental part of the game.
But he needs to send a thank you card. Anthony Richardson needs to send a thank you card to Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts made this possible. Think about Jalen Hurts, what we saw at Alabama when he was there, and what he's become. And now, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and a Super Bowl quarterback, and all that kind of stuff. But the difference between Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson, from what I can tell, and let me tell you, my knowing about Anthony Richardson is based off of the documentary that ESPN had, where they kind of follow them behind the scenes leading up last year at the Manning Passing Academy, and then leading up through the season and their preparation for the draft and all that kind of stuff. You kind of get to see a behind the scenes of Anthony Richardson and see his personality, see his leadership. And he's not Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was an alpha male leader. Walk into a locker room, everyone follow his lead. He's always doing the right things on and off the field and all that kind of stuff. And then, oh, by the way, the passing part caught up to him when he got to Oklahoma, and a better system for him. And then he was able to kind of show what he could do, and then the rest is history. But he had that it factor already. I'm not convinced that Anthony Richardson has that it factor. I think he's got a skill set, and he's a physical freak at 6'4", 245, and can do all the things, and has a cannon and can run and jump. But the quarterback position at the NFL level is different than just having physical abilities. You've got to be the first guy in the building, the last guy to leave. You've got to be smart. You've got to be, make all the right decisions. You got to have 52 other guys follow you and believe that you can win in a foxhole. To me, that's the question I have for him. If he can do those things, then yeah, he has a chance to be, a superstar because of the physical abilities. But I haven't seen it yet.
If I got to bet a Diet Coke on it, I don't think it's going to end up being worthy of the fourth pick in the NFL draft. Now, I could be wrong, and 2 years from now, I might have to say I was wrong, but that's what I think at this point.
The other draft pick of note that people are going to be tracking to see what happened is, Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, defensive end. He went 13th overall, the Green Bay Packers. Remember that Packers moved from 15 to 13. They got that in the trade, and the Jets went from 13 to 15. They took Will McDonald, the fourth outside linebacker from Iowa State. So something about Iowa and Iowa State for those two. The New Orleans Saints, we heard a lot about Maisie Smith. He went 3 picks ahead, 26th overall. The Saints picked 29th. Maisie Smith out of Michigan went to the Dallas Cowboys. That was the kind of the defensive tackle that a lot of people had going to the Saints. Another player that the people were talking about with the Saints was Dalton Kincaid, a tight end out of Utah. He went 25th to Buffalo. So when they went off the board, you were like, okay, that Saints aren't going to get them. Who are they going to get? And then it ended up being Brian Breesy, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. So a little bit of a wait and see approach. Saints rolling the dice.
Yep, it's going to have to play out, no question about it, and easier to grade down the road than it is right now. But you got to be optimistic because it was a position of need, and if he can stay healthy, it could yield good things for the Saints.
The Will Levis talk. I mean, again, Anthony Richardson. I lost the bet on that. I didn't think he was going to go that high in the first round. Will Levis is a guy too. Were you that impressed with him in Kentucky to where you thought like, okay, this guy is going to be a potentially a top 10 pick, which was sort of the crazy projections. Now he slides to second. I think quarterbacks get the benefit of the doubt unfairly.
Yeah, and I didn't think he'd be a top 10 pick. I really didn't, even though the rumors earlier in the week was he might go number 1 to Carolina. That was just posturing by somebody's agent or, somebody who has a website. But anyway, I mean, I don't think he's athletic. He's got that athleticism. I don't know, maybe not quite as much as Anthony Richardson, but close. He's put together. He's built like crazy. Smart guy from all the indications. And, somebody said this morning that, well, that means now that he'll go to the second round, he can get the free agency 1 year earlier than if he was first round. Well, I don't think that means a lot to him this morning or last night when the camera kept zooming in on him as he, went through pick after pick after pick and didn't hear his name called.
Saints will get the 9th pick in the second round today. A guy who may be there is B.J. Ojulari, outside linebacker at LSU. He at least, according to ESPN, is the 17th best prospect that's still on the board at this point. But what are we hearing? What do you think the direction the Saints will go?
I mean, offensive line, have some help there. They got some concerns there. Defensive secondary, but a lot of conversation this morning. You don't win with defense. Defense helps. It helps you win. But the NFL now is an offensive league as opposed to defense. And I know the old saying, defense wins championships. Okay, you got to have a good defense. And it's got to be able to stop people when you got to stop people. But you need offense. You need to score points to win in the NFL. So, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints don't try to, get some help for Derek Carr, be it a tight end, be it a wide receiver.
So right now, offensive guard Steve Avila, he was a really good player for TCU, 6'4", 330. He's the best available. Matthew Bergeron at NC State, as far as a tackle goes, 315, 6'5", 318 is another guy on there. If they went back on the defensive line kind of role, defensive end, Keon White out of Georgia Tech. A lot of conversation about his name potentially sneaking into the first round. 6'5", 285. They can go in a lot of directions. I agree with you, Tommy. I don't know that there's a bad pick for the Saints at this point. They have so many points of need. Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. They've kind of had a nice tradition, has Notre Dame, of tight ends playing and being successful in the NFL. He's the best available tight end at the moment. 6'5", 250-pounder. A guy who was ranked really high. And there was talk of him potentially going in the first round. So, do you go for the value or do you go for need? It clearly looks like the New Orleans Saints are trying to do plug and play.
Yeah, they need people that can get on the field and make the 53-man roster and have an impact. Because they don't have a third-round pick, and they got a bunch of picks late. They got 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th round, and those aren't guaranteed guys to, be on the field in week 1. Maybe, maybe not. But so they got to really swing hard with this second-round pick, and then they got to pick no pick in the third round. They got to pick in the fourth round.
According to this, Tommy, they do, and they have the 8th pick in the third round, according to ESPN. And it must have been some kind of trade or something that we
maybe so
slipped through the cracks.
I didn't have that in my notes, but that doesn't. I can certainly be wrong.
9th pick in the second round, 8th pick in the third round, 13th pick in the fourth round, 12th pick in the 5th round. They also have the 31st pick in the 5th round, and then no 6th round pick, and they've got 2 7th round picks, 10th overall and 40th. So Saints, at least right now, they're liable to trade up, trade down, whatever the case may be. But they've got 7 picks left in the draft between the 2nd and the 7th round. And clearly, the Saints, with the salary cap hindrance and issues that they have, they're going to have some of those guys hit that normally you could go, we took them in the 4th round. It didn't work out, so well. You didn't really. But now you need your first, second, third round picks got to be guys that get on the field and play for you a lot,
Right, I agree.
All right, let's talk LSU baseball. Big series this weekend. Tonight, of course. You're running out of opportunities to see Paul Skeens
Well,
in an
there's only
LSU.
2 more home weekend series.
Yeah.
There's
Two
only
regular
2 more
season
times to see
weekends.
Skeens. Yeah.
You got a regional and a super regional, so probably 4 starts is all he's going to have left, in if he's healthy.
At
So
Alec Box. Yeah.
yeah, at the box. So you got to get out there and watch them. Alabama playing well. They've kind of been a little bit of a surprise team this year. 9-9. They've won 5 in a row in the SEC. But on Friday, can LSU do it back to back? I'll believe and buy in on Floyd and Little if they can give me something. I don't need them to give me what they gave me last week, but can Floyd, who pitched into the 9th inning, can he take me into the 6th and only give up 1 or 2 runs? Can Christian Little take me into the 5th and only give up one run? That because they need those guys. They're super super thin.
Any word on Tommy White or Trey Morgan back in the lineup? Do you have anything? I know you're announcing the games
Yeah.
tomorrow
I
and
don't.
Sunday.
I don't have any inside scoop in the last 48 hours. On Tuesday, when I was doing the game, and I talked to some of the players, and I talked to Jay Johnson before the game, there was the expectation fully that Tommy White would be back this weekend, and that Morgan would be back this weekend. You've got the right fielder, the freshman, who's really really good. Best player. Paxton Kling, who's probably still
out
2 more weeks away. I mean, he really, really, really pulled his hamstring. I don't want to say tear. He really, really pulled his hamstring. So he's solidly out another week, at least. And there was somebody else that was in there. Morgan, White, Kling, and I'm drawing a blank. There was Neal. Neal, the catcher, the freshman, he was moving around in warm-ups and stuff in the outfield and looked athletic and looked like, he might be getting better. It was I would think in this day and age, people there with the way that Milazzo and Travinsky are playing pretty decently right now as far as swinging the bat, they're not going to rush Neal back. And so I would expect him to be out 1 more weekend, but by looking at him Tuesday moving around, I would think he would be back the following weekend. So Neal, no, Kling, no this weekend, but I don't expect. But White and Morgan would be a shocker if they're not in there tonight.
And we did learn this week that Chase Shores is done for the year. Surgery. He already had the surgery on his elbow, so that's done. And you can't replace the guy. You can't call somebody up for the minor leagues. You can't take somebody off the practice squad. I mean, that's one of the things in college baseball. When you lose a guy, that's one less you got on the roster.
Edwards and Shores were literally your bridge. They were literally your setup guy and closer, and arguably 2 of the best in college baseball. And you lose them, and there is no replacement. Ackenhausen is still a work in progress to get him back to where he was, the lefty junior college transfer. Riley Cooper is not who he was a year ago. He's regressed. Collins is a coin flip when he goes out there. Dutton is not as good as he was a year ago. So again, this is a chuck and prayer, the rest of the way. I mean, they've got to have some people be extra special like Floyd and like Little. They've got to go do what they're supposed to do 4 out of every 5 times, or doesn't matter how good Skeens is. He's got to eventually come out of the game in 110 pitches and give the ball to somebody else. Who the hell you give the ball to?
Yeah, well, people got to step up, whether that's Dutton or Collins or whomever they throw out there. That's what happens in late April, May baseball. You got to get some guys. I mean, they got an LSU uniform. They got to be good players. So, but they got to get out there and perform, like you said, 4 out of 5 times. If you're going to reach the goals you want, which is winning it all in Omaha.
What's amazing is, I was telling people before the season, and even at the beginning of the season, the first couple of weeks of the season, like, don't worry about the non-refundable deposit for the Airbnb in Omaha. Just go ahead and make the reservation. Like, if you can get the suite, buy the suite at the stadium. We can always sell the tickets to help you pay for it. Like, and now I'm like, ooh, Glad I didn't get that Airbnb because I mean it's not a lock. It's not. I mean, look, their lineup is stupid, but somebody's got to throw the baseball, and to win 2 out of 3, you got to be good for 18 innings of those 27. And right now they're good for 7 innings, and they're a maybe on the other 11.
Well, you got to outscore people. And you got to. It's going to be tough. I'm like you. I still think they'll be in Omaha. I still think they got a great shot to win it all and could win it all. But there are some fair questions here as we roll into the end of April.
Yeah, it's not a lock. Nothing's a lock. And look, the loss to the Raging Cajuns and Nichols, and credit both those teams. I felt like both of them arguably played their best game of the year. I mean, Nichols, we've talked so much about their defense, was spectacular. It couldn't be better. The Yankees couldn't have played defense better. The Raging Cajuns offense, they hit throughout the lineup, and they played small ball. They played big ball. I mean, they played fantastic, and they got a career pitching performance by one of their better relievers. So you lose those 2 games, but it's not as if LSU, threw off. Yeah, they didn't throw their top 3 starters. Well, neither did Nichols or UL, but they threw the best of what they had available. And the best of what they had available wasn't good enough to beat these. So they are, and don't give me it's we all that. Like, they played to win that game as hard as they possibly could with the best lineup that was healthy. And those other 2 guys played over their heads. We look at UL, they went and got swept by James Madison, a below 500 team in the Sun Belt. So they were like on cloud 9. They go on the road, boom. And then Nichols, of course, having a great year. They come in, boom. Let's see what happens if there's a letdown or a fallback or something this week. But this LSU team, as good as they are, man, is not. They're not invincible. And I thought they were invincible the first 30 days of the year. And then now with all the injuries on the mound and the question marks on the mound, it's going to be fun to watch because you're going to the ballpark wondering now. This is back to regular baseball. Can we win today? That's what it's back to.
Well, and as everybody always says, injuries can change a team significantly if the certain guys do get hurt and they can't perform for you, whether that's a pitcher, batting lineup, playing defense. I mean, injuries are part of the game, but it can definitely change a lot of things for any team.
Tommy's got the graphic up on the screen right there, the Baton Rouge Rougarou Golf Classic. The weather's supposed to be fantastic on Monday, May 1st at Greystone. It starts at 10 a.m., so you get to play hooky from work or come out there and, just go to work, check in, and then get in your car and come out and then go back and check back out. Nobody knows where you're at during the middle of the day. We play at 10 a.m. on Monday. We got individual spots available, 1 team left and some individual spots available. Go to brrougarou.com. We hope to see you on Monday at Greystone Golf and Country Club. Tell us about Tremonti's, TK.
Well, I'll be on the 11th tee Monday with the gang from Tremonti's. I'm going to have season tickets for the Rougarou. You'll be able to get them right there at the 11th tee. I'll have my Rougarou jersey on, my Rougarou hat. Tremonti's going to be giving away drinks and food and seasoning and golf balls. So Tremonti's is going to have that for you. Crawfish all weekend, boiled or live, whatever you need. Lunch special today, fried catfish with the crawfish etouffee on it. Right down the street from Parkview Baptist on Jefferson Highway. They can do catering, anything you need. All the wine, the whiskey, the seafood, the meat, the Chairman's Reserve steaks. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Want you to check it out. And don't forget Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to 12 noon on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We'll have a good show for you then.
All right, for Tommy Christ saying I'm Ronnie Rance. Please like and share this video, and we'll see you back on Monday morning for more
Tuesday
morning for more.
We got the golf tournament Monday, so I'll be out at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen on Tuesday.
All right, be back on Tuesday. Until then, have a great weekend.